Hi, I'm Coach Amber, and welcome to the MeatRx Success Story podcast. Today we have Francesco with us, and he is going to share his success story with the meat-based diet. Welcome, Francesco.
Hi, Amber. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Okay, let's get down to it. The first thing I want to know is what was your life like prior to starting a meat-based diet? Were you having any issues? Any
Yeah.
kind of problems?
Yeah. So actually, I was born and raised the majority of my life in Italy. So um, my diet was the standard Italian diet, as I call it. We saw a lot of bread, a lot of pasta, religiously pizza every weekend, maybe twice. So I was eating a lot of gluten. Meat wasn't really the main course ever. There was always some meat in my diet, but unfortunately, I had parents that thought that meat was bad for you. Don't eat too much meat because red meat causes cancer and all that stuff. So I ate all the grains, seasonal fruit, and then when I was probably around 20 years old, I started developing some skin issues, some psoriasis. I started developing little cysts on my eyelids, which I had to have surgically removed a couple times. And actually, my eye doctor suggested me to do a food intolerance test because he thought there could be food intolerances. And from that food intolerances test, I found out that I was lactose intolerant and I couldn't eat a bunch of things. But I didn't really make any like change since then, um, because it wasn't like bugging me a lot, and that eye issues didn't really return that often. It was like a once in a while, and then I was doing like some cortisone injection that were kind of like hiding the problem. So I didn't really thought to implement like a new diet or anything until like I moved to the States. This was about 8 years ago, and then it was like full blown standard American diet. So it was fast food. It was like, since here access to like food is so easy, especially junk food. Uh, so I pretty much ate up until 2018, when after a course of antibiotics, because I was always ahead also strep throat issues, even when I was a kid. And I took a lot of antibiotics for that too, which probably contributed to my gut issues later on. Um, so in 2018, yeah, after a course of amoxicillin, I just started having GI distress, and I ended up at the ER once because I had horrible pains. I couldn't breathe. It was horrible. And they sent me on with some more antibiotics and some other pain meds. And shortly after, I ended up to the hospital again. And then I stayed 5 or 6 days there, where I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. So I was having like 25 to 30 bloody bowel movements a day. It was horrible. And after that week in the hospital, it just sent me home. I went to see the GI doctor, which of course he told me that food has nothing to do with this illness. You just like stay away from alcohol, junk food, but we don't know why this happens. And I was sent home with a box of Lialda and some more antibiotics and more pills. So for the first 4 or 6 months, I did take on and off the pills, but they were doing nothing for me. I was just getting worse. So me and my wife started researching a little bit more, and we did realize that it was indeed the food. And the first thing that I eliminated was the gluten, which made a world of a difference for me. We went into first like paleo, autoimmune paleo diets, which it was better for me. I was feeling better. I didn't have the episode that I was having before, going to the bathroom like 30 times, but I still wasn't feeling great. I was still losing weight. I was still bloated. I still had a lot of GI symptoms. I still had headaches on a daily basis. I was going through probably like a bottle of ibuprofen every 2 weeks. Um, and so one day my wife actually told me like, "Hey, I I saw this podcast with Michaela Pedersen on Joe Rogan, and she had a lot of autoimmune issues, and but she eats only meat." And I was like, "Wait, what? Only meat?" And I was always being told that meat was bad for me. how can I just eat meat after going through all these the healthy juicing, the veggies, the raw veggies, the fruit. So it was horrible. I was that bad that I couldn't get up from the bed. I would faint from going to the bed to the restroom. I couldn't walk. My wife had to roll me around the house in a chair. It got that bad. So at that point, I had really nothing to lose. So I just said, okay, let's try the meat. And kid you not, a week, I was jumping around the house like a week. It was just like crazy. So I started researching even more. I watched the Joe Rogan podcast with Dr. ShawnBaker, and then I ended up reading Paul Saladino's book, and then I took Kevin Stock's course, the class that he has, the meat health class. And since then, pretty much I've been just eating mostly meat, 95%, I say, and it's just like beef, any kind of beef. I started with just ribeye, salt and water, just to be as basic as I could. But since then, on my worst, I weighed like 103, 104 pounds. I'm 6'1". Uh, but since then, I gained 35 pounds of muscle, pretty much. And yeah, it was very bad.
Wow, that does sound bad. My goodness. Well, I'm glad you stumbled across carnivore. Yay. So, when you first started carnivore, tell us how you implemented the diet. What did you eat? What did you not eat? And did you have any transitional issues?
Yes, yes. The first couple of months were a little bit rough as far as digestion because I had to go through the adaptation phase. So I wasn't digesting very well fats. So I was going a little bit leaner. I was doing a little bit less fats, and then now I'm starting like to up my fat intake a little bit. So at the beginning it was just as you said, it was just ribeye, salt and water. And we bought a meat slicer, so I was cutting the ribeyes very thin just to make it as easy to digest for me as possible. I was cooking in water, in a little bit of water, and some because I wanted to avoid the grill for a little bit. But yeah, that's what I ate for like 2 or 3 months. But then now I started to eat like T-bones or like all other cuts of meats. I started eating eggs in the morning. I'm doing 6 to 8 yolks with a little bit of honey. So I just drink it like that. I just whip them with a fork and drink it. Um, but yeah, I started with a little butter just to test how I do with butter. It seems to be fine. So, but yeah, my diet is mostly ruminant meat. So lamb, beef, buffalo. Um, Not right now, a little bit of butter, but yeah, and mineral water. That's what I added to. So I stopped drinking conventional water, and right now I'm just drinking like mineral water.
Perfect. All right. Okay, so now the best part. Let's talk about all your improvements. Some of the things you talked about in the first question, talk about how they've improved. And was there anything that just kind of surprised you you weren't expecting?
Yeah, as the energy levels, because I couldn't imagine that I had so much energy in me because I've always been like very skinny. So even if I was still underweight when I started, I had a ton of energy, which to me like made no sense. I was eating so much. I think at some point I was going through easy like 2.5 pounds of ribeye a day, and I was like, okay, where is all this meat going? Because then that was like kind of confusing for me, but I guess it was like rebuilding my body. That's where it was going. And since then, yeah, as I said, I gained about like 35 pounds of muscles. I have a body fat, which is stayed around like 80%. So my body totally recomposed because before I was always like bloated, like I had like a lot of fat in my gut. Um, but that seems to have like gone away mostly. So my body kind of reshaped in a way that I never seen before. That's what really surprised me. Every day that I keep eating this way, I see my body like just reshaping in a way that I never seen before. I started to see abs, like I never had abs in my life. So I started to see actual muscles like in my arms that like I didn't think that I had before. So but yeah, no, the best part is just my digestion. I don't deal with any of the ulcerative colitis issues anymore, and that's been a while now that I haven't had any issue. I tried to do blood tests every 6 months to see where I'm at. I had one coming up, but the last one, for example, my HACRP was like 0.2. So I had pretty much like zero inflammation in my body, which was like sky high when I was like in a flare. Uh, but yeah, overall, like better mood. I was always angry, fighting with everyone. It was horrible. I was pretty much in a living in a brain fog my whole day with these headaches. I'm way more productive right now. I can perform better in my job. Ton of energy. So I just enrolled again in the gym after all this this COVID stuff. So finally we can go back to the gym. So looking forward to that. But yeah, I'm able to walk around, do everything that a normal person does without having to worry, okay, where's the closest bathroom? Like, can I be here for more than 30 minutes? So that's all gone. So I gained my life back in that sense. So it's really great. And also my wife started the carnivore diet with me too. She lost 35 pounds, I believe. She's in the best shape of her life. She looks awesome. So we did this together. So, yeah, these were definitely like the biggest improvements that I've seen.
You know what my favorite thing is that you just said? I got my life back. That makes me want to cry. I think that is the most amazing thing, and I understand that. So kudos to you. And I bet your wife is pretty happy right now too, right? She doesn't have the grumpy Francesco. Yay, that's great. Well, Francesco, it's been a pleasure talking with you, and thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you.
And you have a great day. Thanks, Francesco.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.